Hi, this is your weekly horoscope with me, Lada from astrolada.com. And the big week is over. Jupiter changed signs. It moved into Sagittarius. The nodes changed signs. Uranus moved back to Aries and see what's happening. Aries is a fire sign. Uranus rules sudden cataclysms. And look what's happening in LA. It's burning the neighborhoods. Usually, such big world events are correspond to the movement of signs in different planets in different signs. And also with the elections, you see there was a little bit of rebalancing of the powers between liberals and conservatives because Jupiter in Sagittarius gave a bit more power to liberals because Sagittarius rules liberals, and Capricorn Saturn is in Capricorn, still very strong. So the conservative parties throughout the world will still have their strength, but they're starting to equalize with the more liberal parties. So a lot more interesting things are to come. You see how correct astrology is. You see how powerful it impacts us. And maybe a lot of you are feeling already the Jupiter in Sagittarius influence. But before I start, and we have a big week ahead because Venus is going direct, Mercury is going retrograde, Mars is changing signs. So things are shifting again. And before I start, just to remind you that there are a few more days left of the big discount for the monthly videos, for the yearly videos 2019, which are just $3.99 per sign. And after that, there will be $9.99, but with written text once they're ready. And also, those of you who want to pre-order the yearly calendar, which is about 100 pages every year approximately, with heliacal phases when planets become visible, invisible, what aspects the planets are doing day by day, the meaning of it, the eclipses, the lunations, everything is explained there. It's one of my best-selling products, which every year is bought over and over by people, and it's electronic, and it's only $20 if you order now, and it's out on the 25th of November. It's going to become $30 after that. It's a work of love. Basically, it always takes me about a month to prepare it. So it's out. You can order it already and it will come soon. So let's see what this week is bringing. Finally, good news, because Venus is becoming not only direct, but also visible. And Venus been retrograde for the last 40 days. And I was basically like on the phone every day with friends and clients throughout the world who are going through relationship dramas, through relationships ups and downs, through big reevaluations of their love life, especially, and some of them also for finances, because Venus rules finances. And it's been a bit crazy because Venus did a lot of hard aspects, a lot of bumpy experiences with relationship. Plus, Venus was invisible most of that time, which means that agreement between people was very difficult to reach. A lot of relationship broke down. Cooperation and understanding between people was less forthcoming because Venus is invisible, the planet that gives us those things. But now Venus in different parts of the world, maybe a day or two before or after, is becoming visible at the same time as it starts moving directly. So it's double potency of strength, positive strength. This is the rebirth of Venus. The moment the planet becomes visible again, and it's going to start becoming visible a little bit after sunrise, I think. Yes. Is it? No, a little bit after. Yes, a little bit after sunrise. And this is the time when Venus is reborn, that love, understanding is reborn, and people start becoming more adventurous in love again. New experiences of love and a new relationship program is kind of imprinted in humans. While Venus was dark, a lot of people, even subconsciously, those processes was happening. While Venus was invisible, it was counseling with the sun, because an invisible planet, it means it's conjunct or very close to the sun, and the sun is the king. The sun is the boss. So it's like going to a meeting with the boss, the king, the god, to while disappearing for the humans. And during that period, there were a lot of turbulence in relationships, as I said, business or partnerships or personal relationships. For example, for me, a lot of business partnerships ended. I reevaluated contractual relationships. For others, was on a personal level. For others, was revising their finances. And out of this, something new is being born. Out of this chaos that happened, uh, you kind of internally reconsidered what are your priorities in relationships, what are your priorities, what is important for you when it comes to agreements, to contracts. And even though it was hard to reach such, and even though actually it's preferable that you didn't sign contracts or agreements during that time as well, while Venus was retrograde and invisible, or start totally new relationships, because things that was still unclear. And now when it's being reborn, you know how art is in the Renaissance, uh, paint Venus coming out of a shell in the ocean, and how the shell is opening, and that's called the birth of Venus. Well, it symbolically represents Venus becoming visible. And in mythology, the birth of Venus represented the visibility of Venus appearing, and the start of this new cycle, Venus reborn, new cycle. So new ways of doing love, new, hopefully more advanced, more evolved. Every 2 years or something like that, 19 months, I think, Venus gets reborn. And in that rebirth, basically, it's when we have the ability to to press the reset button after a 40 days of chaotic period to more introspective periods where we analyze things in our relationships, personal, business, and where we and now things start becoming clear what it is we want to keep and what it is we want to shake off, and what kind of priorities we should live in our relationships. So it was time for clarifying, and now is the birth of this new you relationally. So it's what can happen is like new relationships can appear, business partnerships, personal relationship, love relationship, or a new phase of already existing relationships, more improved, more evolved. And some relationship has finished during the previous like the previous 40 days. It means, and there is now it can get repaired when Venus becomes visible, for example, because minds change, because Venus also changes direction. Or it can, if of course, if there is, if both sides want, of course. It can get repaired, restored, or usually during when Venus is retrograde, relationships from the past appear and they make us rethink what our priorities for relationship is, or release pain from the past, or do some big transformation internally for us. Maybe put a closing chapter, or maybe help us move on, or maybe help us reconsider our life in some way. But now things start to become easier when it comes to relationships. Things start to move in a new direction. But Venus does not only rule relationships. For every person, it's going to become direct in a certain area in your horoscope. So it's going to influence positively and manifest and make things simpler and better in that area of their life. But generally, for everyone, relationships is also now things can get better if you are fighting, quarreling with loved ones, if there was very little understanding between you and partners, business or personal, if there was some complicated situations with your finances, now clarity is coming, now resolution of those problems are coming. And we're going to look from Venus going direct for each of the signs where specifically you can see more improvements, basically. And of course, Venus is becoming direct in Libra. So whatever you have Libra in your horoscope, this is where you're going to feel it the most. But generally throughout, for everyone, money, relationship, contracts, they start happening now. Yes, more understanding throughout the world, more peace and more pleasures and luxuries. But at the same day, Mars is entering Pisces, which means for the next month and a half, Mars will energize us and get us moving in a different area of our life where we can get a lot of things achieved. We're going to walk through Mars, through the signs as well, who is going to benefit in what way and what to be careful about. Plus, on the next day, on the 17th, on Saturday, Mercury is going retrograde. But I will warn you that this whole week, from the 12th to the 18th, basically, Mercury is in a square aspect with Neptune. I'm writing it here. The whole week you'll feel it. And plus, it's becoming retrograde. So this week, we have to be collectively careful about miscommunications of some sort, and especially about losing something, losing your phone. Also, more Neptune rules water damage to communication devices, to phones, to laptops, losing any communications devices, being stolen or forgotten somewhere, losing keys, losing any kind of objects on us. Because when Neptune squares Mercury, we're a bit absent-minded. We get distracted, we miss the facts, we forget things, we're a little bit in our own head. Plus, Mercury is in Sagittarius, and Sagittarius looks at the big picture, not at the details. So there is a great chance for many of you to misplace things, to forget things, to miss details, to hear something, and because Neptune is confusion of some sort, and Mercury is clarity and facts and information. So information gets jumbled, confused. It's more likely for someone to hack your laptop, to hack your emails, to hack something, even some kind of like credit cards frauds of some sort for everyone collectively. So be more careful with those things. Also, if you're traveling, Mercury rules the arranging the plans of travels. Well, you have to be ready this week, especially with Mercury going retrograde, square Neptune, especially Mercury being in Sagittarius, the sign of traveling. That yes, traveling will manifest, because Sagittarius is very manifesting now. If you remember from my videos from 2 weeks ago, from my November videos, I explained that Mercury and Jupiter are manifesting the whole of Sagittarius. So yes, it's going to give good things there in Sagittarius, but it might be a little bit harder until you get those good things. There might be some confusion. There might be some misunderstanding first. There might be some missing of facts. You have to, and when Mercury goes retrograde, you have to work harder on something. You have to put more effort. You have to have plan B and C because of some confusion or omission of the previous plan that you made that becomes clear to you now. Also, be careful of any kind of frauds and thefts that are possible, and promising or over promising things, saying one thing to another, because Jupiter and Mercury in Sagittarius, especially there being with Jupiter, is very optimistic, and it wants to promise great things, and usually not in a nasty way to upset others, but it's just to make others happy, and others can feel overly confident and say things that they can fulfill after that. So be careful this week what you hear or what you promise yourself, maybe a little bit too, I'm not saying a lie downright, but maybe the facts are not fully clear, or maybe they're not exactly correct, or what a person promises or what you promise might be a little bit over exaggerated, or you might be kind of disappointed with something you expected, some plan to work in one way, but you have to rework it. You find certain omissions. So this is for everyone. And when it comes to travels, there might be some confusions. There might be some, I'm traveling that week on Sunday. So there might be delays, missed planes, confused information, and things like that, or with the cars, having to reroute any kind of trips. And that's collectively for everyone. Do you feel that no matter when Neptune in your sign is, or where Mercury in your sign is, when no matter where Venus in your horoscope is, and that's why I advise you always to listen to the first part of this report, because many people just jump to their sign and they miss a lot of this, and they say like, oh, you said such specific predictions, but something else happened to me. Well, I probably mentioned this in what happened to you in the first part, because it's collectively for everyone, it matters. And this is what my calendar shows you, basically. What I explain to you now each week on these videos, the calendar has it in written form, what to expect collectively for everyone. So let's start with Aries. For Aries, basically, Venus goes direct in Libra, which is the 7th house. So, and becomes visible there. So the good news for Aries is that something in regards to their relationships. And that's best to look through your ascendant or through your moon sign and then the sun. In order of strength, which is your ascendant sign, your moon sign, your sun sign. So Venus going direct for Aries in the 7th house, there will be improvement in a relationship situation, something that was complicated, whether it's signing of a contract, of an agreement, whether it's starting to collaborate with someone, if it was delayed or if it was complicated, or if there was a breakdown of certain partnerships in your life, you can restore them now, or you can create new ones. It's a rebirth of Venus, new beginnings, new possibilities. Possibilities for better relationships, for more clear what you want of those relationship, personal, business, on a higher level, more evolved such. You have the reset button there and you can do it better this time. It can be the hearing some good news in regards to business partnership or personal or relationship partnerships. If there were some problems in the life of your partner, if a relationship already existed, had gone through some kind of a period of less cooperation or less warmth, now it can be reborn again. So good side there. And also you can receive new help from people that reach out to you, new collaborations. And that's, it's active the whole week and the week after that as well, because Venus phase is active for 7 days before it becomes visible, 7 days after that, 7 days before, and it becomes visible and direct at the same time. So Venus, VG, direct and visible. All right. But at the other side, though, Mercury is going to be going retrograde in your ninth house, Aries. And I forgot to say that Mars is moving to, well, I'll speak about that in a little bit. Mercury is going retrograde in your ninth house, Aries. So, especially if you're traveling somewhere, be careful for certain confusions. Have to have plan B and C. Things that are more stressful, you have to work hard in regards to that. If you're applying some documents for legalization, for higher education, legal matters of any sorts, be careful. And till the 7th of December, all of those things, if you've made some mistakes in some legal documents, if you've made some mistakes in regards to documents or plans connected to um, travel or to higher knowledge to universities, these will become clear as well. There can be some miscommunications with people in faraway places, miscommunications or confusion with people in regards to also if someone who is a teacher, writer, a teacher of some sort, which is the ninth house, there can be confusion of their plans. And also it can mean that you just have to work harder with your skills and your mental energies on preparing some kind of trip or some kind of educational project or teaching project of some sort, or putting some final touches with some extra efforts in something connected to this ninth house, or import export as well. If there is business and import export in foreign countries, it can require a lot of more of your attention and a lot more preparation for surprises. But the final result can be very good from December 7th onwards, when Mercury moves direct. And finally, Mars is moving into your 12th house till the end of the year. So it will energize this 12th house, which means you can be much more active in faraway places. If you go to a different country, for example, it can energize this sector. Or you can start dreaming very vividly, actually angry dreams. It can be like in your dreams, it can be restless. You might out of energy at night, you might not be able to sleep so much because Mars energizes the sanctuary place, the place of retreat. But otherwise, if you're going away somewhere to faraway places, you can feel quite excited, energized there. You can also have a lot more energy for private pursuits, like doing something alone, Marshall, or some kind of yoga, or for swimming, for things that are kind of physical, but at the same time, there is a bit of a healing influence on them as well. And this is great influence to help someone in need, to complete some projects behind the scenes, to be working on putting something behind the scenes, to put a lot of energies there, but not yet to announce it or bring it to the public. And you can feel a little bit more tired with this if you're not in the foreign places. When Mars is in your 12th house, you can feel a little bit like your efforts and energy are either unrecognized or in private, or that they're going a little bit more to the wind. Okay, now let's see Taurus. For Taurus, Venus is going to become direct and visible. Oops. Yes, sorry. There we go. In their 6th house, of course, that's in Libra, Venus direct and Venus visible. And of course, though, for Taurus, they'll start feeling much better, Taurus, from the middle of this week, gradually, possibly maybe from around Friday. All of a sudden, there'll be a big shift in your mood. in your circumstances, because your planet is becoming visible. You'll feel happier, more positive. You'll start feeling stronger, as if you are able to manifest in the material world again. You're coming out of the shadow. You're coming out of a, kind of like a personal rebirth for you, because Venus reborn, this is you. You're Venus, guys, especially if your ascendant is in Taurus. To a lesser degree, moon and sun as well, but they will benefit too. So your whole life is going to start picking up. If there were some delays, if there were some blockages, you start seeing clearing up of that, and you'll start feeling stronger. You'll start feeling more agreeable as well. And a new start, they can be powerful new starts for you, or resolutions of difficult problems combined with new starts, because planet become invisible means new beginnings, and plan and manifesting there in a positive way, and the planet becoming direct means resolution of some complex situation, or the results of some efforts that you're gonna see. And this can be especially connected with your work, with matters connected to your health, because Mars is there. Maybe manifesting a job, manifesting or seeing the results of some project you've been working hard on, or resolving a difficult situation with pets, with workmates, with your health, with a debt as well. Sixth house rules debt, and with enemies, because Venus retrograde in the sixth house often can give out of balance relationships, and you feeling also out of balance because Venus is you, and the sixth house is the house of dissolution of agreement. It's the house of being accused, of someone being critical towards you. And now this will reverse. This will start clearing off. Those problems will start clearing up as well. All right. And at the same time, Mercury is going to become retrograde in Sagittarius. And Sagittarius for you is there in the 8th house. There we go. Mercury retrograde here. From around the whole week, you'll feel it. Be careful with finances, because the 8th house is one of the financial houses. Plus, Mercury, remember, is square Neptune from the 11th house. Be careful with certain losses of finances, especially such ones of misplacing some resources that are not yours but another person's, or some miscommunications about loans or inheritances, insurances, or about mutual resources, or money that is owed to you, money that you owe, or about certain secrets. You can hear a secret which is a bit confusing, or which there is something, some misleading information there, or something that is kind of, especially from a friend, because Neptune is making the square from the 11th house. You can hear something like a gossip. Try not to get involved in that, but it can destabilize you in a little bit. But it's something secretive because it's the 8th house. And at the same time, it's just financially, if you're investing money in something, be more careful. Not time for new investments till the 7th of December. But you can change certain investments. If you invested in something, you might have to fix it, or to examine your decision. There might be certain losses through kind of investments with other people's resources, or with someone mutually together, or your partner's resources can get a little bit destabilized, or your mutual resources has to be re-examined or rebudgeted in some way. And on another level, it can just mean that you're working extra hard to fix something, or some problems in regards to resources that you're expecting from another source, whether it's from clients or whatever, and that some more effort has to be placed in order for you to receive it, or through insurances, inheritances, taxes. Try not to mislead people with such matters, or be careful that they can also mislead you this week with matters connected to such kind of resources. All right. And then Mars is also going direct in Mars is entering your 11th house. So to the end of the year, you'll become very active socially. The 11th house is friends. Be careful, because there might be some fights with friends as well, because Mars wants to do something productive with large groups of people. So it can be great to visit concerts, big events, big parties, fundraisers. If you're someone who fundraises, wow, you're going to be much more proactive, go, go, go. But at the same time, you have to be careful that you don't have you might have clashes either with friends or people that you are joined in like-minded groups, forums of some sort. But you can be quite active in your social life and to pursuing your goals, because the 11th house is the ability to achieve and to pursue our goals, our material goals, and profit. You go after profit a lot more, possibly because Mercury here sets you for something and you have to work harder as well on that. But eventually, to the end of the year, you can make your mark there, go really after your goals, without distractions. All right, now we have Gemini. Venus is going direct Gemini in your fifth house and it's becoming visible there. Sorry. Up, up. And Venus, here we go. Venus, direct and visible. So if there were some complications in your love life, especially your Gemini rising, lesser degree the moon or the sun, but still if there are some complications with children or some difficulties there, they'll start improving, or even with conception. That can be also the start of a new relationship, kind of romantic relationships, or pressing the reset button and rebirth and restoring of more romance in your life. Because if you're already in an existing relationship, maybe it became a little bit stale in the plus 40 days, so kind of non-existence, the loving side. Maybe you reevaluated the love between you and another person, and now you are going to start new way of giving and receiving love, of feeling loved, of expressing feelings and love. So some kind of complicated situation in regards to romance and love can improve or just become more fertile, more happy, more happening. If there was nothing happening in those areas, now it can start happening, like a new romantic relationship. Or if one that broke down, but there is still feelings there, and still, now there is a chance for this to improve when Venus becomes direct. Also the fifth house is fun, having fun. If you've been unable to do that, Venus will be reborn in your fifth house and it will bring you new opportunities that actually will give those effects for 18 months till the next time Venus is reborn in another sign for you. So this is not just now this week and the next week. You'll feel it the strongest this and next week, but it will give those influences that Venus was born for this cycle of 18 months in your fifth house. So new ways of enjoying yourself, new ways of having fun, new ways of celebrating, and kind of new opportunities to celebrate, to enjoy yourself, new hobbies that you're going to start to enjoy, and pleasures that you find, and new gifts. Because the fifth house, your natural gifts, and Venus can help you give birth to unrecognized before gifts that are going to blossom over the next 18 months, and unrecognized till now. Um, as I said, also romantic relationships, new ways of having fun, new creative projects, new creative ideas will be born, especially such if are connected to fashion, to something to do with beauty, to something to do with arts, to something to do with relationships, creative projects, something to do with design, and something beautiful. You will create new ideas. The fifth house is the house of creative intelligence. Gemini, you'll be channeling this creative intelligence with new, more beautiful creations. This is Venus, and you feel this very strong the next 2 weeks, but it's active for the next 18 months for you. And at the same time, Mercury is going retrograde, though, in your seventh house. So already existing partnerships, business partnerships or agreements, for example, might have to be re-examined. And that's till the 7th of December, but this week you're hearing it and feeling it very strongly. And there might be some misalignment of what you expect from a partner or agreement or business partner or personal partner, because Neptune is making square to this to this Mercury. So what a partner said and what a partner did, or what you expected from a partner, from an agreement or from a contract, you might start realizing that it's not exactly like that. There might be some disappointment there, or maybe there might be some, like a boss that promises something in their contract with you, but it turns out something is not fully exactly like that. That's another possibility. But on another level, again, Neptune will, uh, there might be some miscommunications that are happening with people or clients on a one-to-one basis. You have to be more careful about, or that someone promises you something not just to mislead you in a nasty way, or maybe in extreme cases, they just want to make you happy, and or that you can do this to someone. So be careful for those behaviors, that you don't overpromise but you can't deliver, or that someone tells you something but it turns out that they're talking a bit, they were promising things they can't also deliver as well. Oh, but on another level, Mercury retrograde in the seventh house will give you the opportunity for the next 3 weeks to rework some contract, some agreement, and especially if you're dissatisfied with certain clauses from it, to rework a relationship, personal business in some way, and some things that were unsaid, you have to come out now, and Mercury will push you to kind of over the next few weeks address it, or if some miscommunications happen, for it to be addressed in some way. And by the end, or you might be working on a mutual project together with someone and having to use a lot of your skills, or a lot of negotiating abilities, or about a lot of abilities to communicate. So it might require 3 times more efforts over the next 3 weeks. That's a positive manifestation. When Mercury turns direct, you can receive good rewards for that, from December, from having work, or you can complete the contract finally when Mercury turns direct, or you can, after having worked better on it. And Mars is also moving into your 10th house, and will stay there till the end of 2018, which means that you'll be very active with your career, with pursuing, and also possibly getting like a career, better prestige, better social visibility, recognition, going after some career project of some sort, more ambition in your career. But be careful for clashes with authority figures or father figures of some sort during this period. All right, now we go to Cancer. Cancer, for you, Venus is going to get direct in your fourth house, and then it will go to the fifth, but we'll speak about that when it happens. Venus direct, Venus visible at the same time. Very powerful Venus is the rebirth of new, better conditions in your family life, in your home life, the rebirth of more peace, emotional peace and balance in your personal emotional world. It can be better newer circumstances in regards to house, to property, or if there were some delays or some blockages or some difficulties in regards to property, or something to do with home, with land, with matters of family. These will be addressed, and these will be improved over the next 2 weeks. Maybe you can see the results of some home project that you've been working on, or maybe you can be able to improve relationships with loved ones and close ones. So visit a place, or do something good for your home and family, receive some support there, uh, or maybe buy something beautiful and attractive for your home, or if you've been trying to move or to find a home, now Venus can manifest this for you. But remember that this Venus is being reborn, and it's going to give the trends for the next 18 months till the next cycle of Venus, and it's being reborn in your fourth house. So even if it's not these 2 weeks, expect that over the next 18 months, something very good can happen to you. There is like a new opportunity, and to beautify your home, your family, to settle, to start a family, or to start parenthood as well, because the fourth house, the house of parenthood, is the house of and to enjoy those responsibilities of parenthood, to nurture something, to take care of something with love, and to improve your home, to make a happy relocation or change a place of living. So it's trends for 18 months, because Venus is reborn there, and will give those good effects. At the same time, um, Mercury is going to get retrograde in your sixth house, and till the 4th or 7th of December. So you might have to work on some project extra hard, especially work, like duties and responsibilities in work might require more of your time, more of your attention and efforts. Retrograde planet is about putting more efforts. There might be some problems or miscommunications or mistakes that become clear to you over the next week or two in regards to that, and they have to be fixed. Or maybe some change of plans in regards to your routines. You have certain plans for how your day is going to go, how your routine is going to go, and you have to change that because of Mercury retrograde, to come up with number 2, number 3, plan B, plan C, or new kind of routine daily. So be careful to be more flexible there. And at the same time, it can indicate that you're re-examining your health. Maybe you can re-examine your diet, or reevaluate how your dietary habits are. So you're required to pay more attention on that as well. Otherwise, certain health conditions can flare up, But by reading or studying or researching more in depth, which is what Mercury wants us to do, you can find certain solutions. That's a good position for Mercury after all. And also, it can mean that you can be completing some work project which requires a lot of your attention and attention to detail and fixing certain mistakes and putting the final touches that you'll see the results of from December, after the first week of December when Mercury turns direct. And finally, Mars is entering your ninth house, and it's gonna stay there till the end of the year, Cancers. And this means that you can become much more active in pursuing, fighting for your opinions. For example, this is something where you kind of start, you become strongly opinionated about what is right and wrong, and you want to state it, and you're not shy about it, and you fight for what you believe in. It can also mean that you become much more active in pursuing truth or uh, stating your truth and morality. It can also indicate that you can become very active with travels. This can give activation of travels overseas or with flights, with planes, ninth house. It can indicate that it's also you become more adventurous overall when Mars is in the ninth house. And in a water sign, it starts supporting you. It gives you more energy, but in a gentle, not in a stressful way. And it makes you more overall faith driven, and you kind of your actions, you're going to start feeling that your actions are triggered because you believe something is right to do, or because you believe that something is meant to happen, or because you receive signals and from your higher self, and you feel like, yes, this there is a meaning and purpose for me to do that, and you go after it. On a more mundane level, Mars in the ninth house till the end of the year means that you can travel somewhere, especially be more active, like go skiing or something, or swimming in a foreign country, or that you can be more active in communications and contacts with people from faraway places, or that you can be more active in educational pursuits or pre-qualifying pursuits, or you can be more active in anything to do with import export. All right, then the next sign is Leo. There we go. And Venus is becoming visible and direct in your third house, Leos. So it means if there were any complication, miscommunications in regards to your, you know, relatives and neighbors and siblings, these will start straightening out and improving. Or even with coworkers, if there was some stalled period or complicated periods with those people in your everyday environment, coworkers, friends, mates, workmates, neighbors, relatives, siblings, this situation will improve. Or if they had some complicated things happening in their life, they'll start improving. Also, it can manifest for you a trend over the next 18 months that you'll be having new friends, kind of friends or contacts, especially female such, more agreeable, more better to understand with, better to more enjoyable times with such people as well, siblings, relatives, or mates of any sorts. And new such will come because it's a rebirth of Venus, so it's going to give those trends for the next 18 months, sorry, but especially strong in the next 2 weeks. So new such people appear in your life who improve situations with them, or improve attitudes towards such people, and improved and better, more evolved understanding and relationships with such people. Also, it can indicate the birth of love for developing some new skill in your life over the next 18 months, with strong emphasis on that on the next 2 weeks. So you can develop some new skill, which is especially more Venusian, about design, about skill that is connected to beautifying something, about learning to draw or do some arts or crafts with the hands, or some skill that is connected about learning to express yourself better, to write more beautifully, or some new, they can be the birth of some new art projects of some sort. The third house is, sorry, written or spoken projects of some sort, or the birth of new marketing or strategy or sales strategy of some sort. Or if there were complications with certain matters connected to, you know, sales, to commerce, to business administration, to learning something, this will start improving. and this will start giving good results. Or if you've been working very hard without results on marketing, on some strategy, on business administration project, on some kind of third house rules, any kind of business exchanges, of sorts, and sales and uh, PR and advertising of any sort. Now it will start giving results. Now you're going to start seeing the results of those things. Plus, it can also indicate the start of a trend, not only of learning some new skills, better results through marketing and all those commercial activities, but also it can indicate a new success or new opportunities uh, that come to you in regards to travels. They can be more comfortable travels for you that become a trend over the next 18 months, starting from this week. More comfortable conditions of traveling, or more pleasant and enjoyable short trips. Access to short trips, like for a day or two outside of the town or something, you have more access to those. All right. On another level, Mercury is going retrograde in your fifth house. Okay, Leo. So for some of you, this can indicate that there can be a return of a past love, or you're going to start thinking of a past lover, that maybe the return happens so there can be closure, or so you can see it from a different perspective. Or it can be the return to some kind of an old hobby of yours, or revival, and the need to re-examine some creative project that you've left behind or that you're working on, but you have to fix something, edit something that is not fully completed, and work a little bit on this creative project, to on the details of it over the next 3 weeks, because you're unsatisfied with something. For example, when Mercury went retrograde in my fifth house from ascendant, I became quite dissatisfied with my website. And I had a new vision, creative idea, how to redo it, to redo the website. So over the next 8 months, I worked on that, but it started during Mercury retrograde. You see something you're dissatisfied with and you want to recreate it. Fifth house is that. Also, there might be some important conversations with loved ones or children, because you want to re-examine those relationships, and because you might have to work a bit hard on them. Uh, Things that are bothering you might come to the surface, or that are bothering your loved ones, or especially lovers, or romantic partners, or children as well. These will come to the surface to be addressed. So this can create some stresses, but eventually it can make this relationship better, or those relationships better. And on another level, Mars is entering your eighth house till the end of the year, Leos. So it gives an opportunity for more sudden transformations in your life, because this is the natural house of Mars. So for a month and a half, there can be sudden psychological changes in you, some more surprises out of the blue that happen, but the ability to break through something as well, because Mars in the eighth house allows us to get to the bottom of something, to dig to the bottom, to discover something, to discover some, you know, uh, the answer to something, which allows us to have a breakthrough, which allows us to have a passing through one state to another, emotionally, psychologically, or even physically. So it's good for psychological digging inside, or for other research of any sort. It can create some more power struggles with others as well. Have to be more careful about. And also, it can make you a bit more invasive. You can feel like you're invading the privacy of others, but you can't be superficial with your actions now. Your actions, Mars, they want to hit to the bottom of things, to the heart of the matter. And it can feel like you're a bit more penetrating like that, and more insightful, and a little bit less, how do I say, you just go there and say it all, you know. And also, it can mean that you're going to be much more actively pursuing mutual resources, for example, resources that are or doing something in regards to. But it's a good idea not to do some big investments now with uh, with mutual resources, unless you're investing in something Mars related, like in uh, investing in something to do with guns or metal, or I don't know, fire of some sort, or an equipment for sports. Uh, Otherwise, Mars can destabilize the resources and finances to some extent. more like expenditure that comes suddenly with you and a partner, from a partner, because of some outer reason that you have to spend. But you can go after mutual resources. You can go pursue and actively work on receiving someone from another person. All right. So let's see the next sign. This is Virgo. Virgo, Venus is going to become direct and visible in your second house, which is it's indication that Venus is reborn in your second house. So this will be trends for the next 18 months, that you're gonna have some new financial opportunities over the next 18 months, and you're gonna start feeling this, and those ideas will start coming from the moment Venus becomes visible and starts moving direct. And there will be a new improved attitude towards uh, valuables, what is worthy. It's almost like you're starting a more evolved stage and understanding of what is valuable for you, what is worthy for you, and also your own self-value and your own, how you value yourself and your self-worth. It's coming to a new stage, to a more harmonious stage, to a more self-loving stage and complete stage. It's starting like that, and this will attract to you new resources, and this will attract because of this renewed self confidence for you, or self love, sorry, and an appreciation of yourself and what is really valuable, not only yourself, but like material assets, what is truly valuable for you. You'll be able to start attracting more valuable things in your life, more valuable assets, money that bring you more attractive clothes or possessions of any sort. So it will be a trend for 18 years. It can bring you the acquisition of something very desirable physically, because your energy is more aligned to what is truthfully valuable to you. After this 40 days of more turmoil, maybe there was even some financial complications that happened for you. If you're Virgo, and if there was some financial complications, they start improving from this week onwards. And it's the Venus is telling you for the next 18 months, there will be considerable improvements, that you'll be able to attract the right things to you materially that you need, the right resources, whether it's for art projects, whether it's for business, for whatever resources you need, or just to make yourself pretty, and they're beautiful, they're harmonious, they're with proper worth and value. Not like someone who has 5 wardrobes of clothes that cost $3 each from thrift shops, so secondhand, but truly valuable things, that you'll start attracting in your life. And on another level, it can be some positive development in anything to do with the second house. Improvement of your teeth, improvement of your makeup, second house rules that, how you make your face, improvement of your financial situation, improvement of a more financial support as well. That is, if there are some complications there. And uh, collections, desirable acquisitions of desirable things, or if you're working in fields connected to money, to resources, connected to storing, to keeping something, connected to history, or maybe of the birth of new appreciation for history, can happen for you. The second house is where we store knowledge or information, or where we store valuables, and history is the second house. So it can play out in many, many different ways. Or if you're a storekeeper, or if you work with any kind of makeup or anything, beauty products, or anything to do with luxury products, with clothes, with fashion, all those Venusian things, with beautiful things, with luxurious products, it can indicate a trend of 18 months of better quality of those improvements, or you acquiring more materially through those. All right, and on another level, Mercury is going to get retrograde in your fourth house in Sagittarius. It's still manifesting house in November, so you can still manifest in regards to family, to home, to property, but there might be some complications. uh, there might be some complications because there were missed details. If you're trying to solve buy a property, you might have to rework it till some part of December, some omissions. So there is some leakage of water, for example, because Neptune is squaring your Mercury in your home, or maybe something that is there is some kind of a mold or something that you have to fix. So there might be something that it's something kind of insidious and hidden that becomes known now, because Neptune is something hidden, square Mercury, you have to repair it, to fix it, and, you know, Or if you're in someone who buys and sells property, realtor, you might be, having to work extra hard for the next 3 weeks because of kind of complications on those contracts. But don't give up, because you're gonna manifest. You're gonna manifest much better things. Or if you're trying to sell a property, you might have to do something extra that you're not aware of. Or if you're fixing something around your house, you might see the need now to do it, or the fixing can take a bit longer, or there might be the need to discuss certain important matters with family members uh, over the next 2 3 weeks. Especially this week, you're going to start feeling it. And because of some miscommunication, or because of some problems with family, or even with between family and a partner, for your relationships and family, some confusion or miscommunication of some sort. But at the same time, it requires just a bit more effort, and requires more attention to detail in regards to property, home, family, conversations with close and family people. And finally, Mars is going to be in your seventh house from this Thursday to, oh no, so from this Friday to the end of the year, basically. So you become much more active in pursuing relationships, and you'd attract a lot of more ambitious people around you, more driven, but also people that press your button. You'll be less patient with people overall. And if you need to assert yourself about something, this is going to happen. You might fight with someone about something more, but also in a way because you want to assert your power. But it can escalate to a fight, so be a little bit more careful with that. And this square will happen between Mars and Mercury at some point as well. Uh, so I think it will happen, yeah. So it can destabilize a little bit something between partners in your family, so be careful there. But otherwise, it's good if you're doing something with another person, if you're combining, say, maybe a project with your husband or wife, or maybe with a business partner, you're doing something together and you need to put a lot of energy in that mutual project. Well, that goes well. But if you don't have something to put this energy towards, like bargaining, like forging of some contracts, then you might feel like that you're more like feel like fighting with others, so that you're attracting more people that are willing to fight with you in some way. And at the same time, Mars there can be great if you want to go after some deal, and to kind of really, like in a venture capitalist shark way. Mars will help you in that, because you become more ruthless there. You go for the kill, for the jugular in some agreement, contract, business deal of some sort. But again, the others will be in an argumentative state. Um, just so you know, but good things can be achieved as well. And more sex. Mars in the seventh house can make a person more sexual, also argumentative. But all right. If you're Libra rising, of course, Venus is becoming direct and visible. Sorry, direct and visible in your sign, Libras, and this is the rebirth of you. And I think Venus does this once in 8 or 16 years, to be reborn in your sign. And it's giving the trends for the next 18 months in particular for you till its next cycle starts. I think it's 18 months, maybe 19. And what I'm trying to say here is that it's the rebirth of Libras. This is your very special time of the year for you. You might feel like, especially in the past 40 days or something, you a little bit became invisible, just like Venus. Maybe you're a little bit confused or unclear about the future, or maybe whatever efforts you were trying to make, they kind of stayed unnoticed, or it was more low key, or maybe you could not make your impact or imprint on things because your queen was invisible, especially if you're Libra rising, to a lesser degree sun or moon. But it might feel like almost like there was more obstacles in front of you, or just not much happening, or that you were in some state of introspective, introversive state, maybe it even concerned relationships, or re-examining your life, or taking some very important decisions, and now you can start implementing them. Now you're going to start getting clarity from this week, and now you're going to start feeling like your actions will matter and will make an imprint. You can put your mark now. You can rise out. You can be reborn. You are this Venus de Milos, this Venus that rises from the ocean in a clam, and you're reborn, that the artists from the Renaissance were depicting. This is the rise of Venus, the heliacal rise of Venus in artistic form. So you're going to start feeling more graceful, more collaborative, more attractive even. You're going to start having more joy in your life from next week. This is Venus. The beautiful things, the good things of life, the luxurious things, those will start coming to you, start attracting them, the fun, the pleasant things. And you're going to be able to be more your charm returns, your ability to charm others, your ability to be suave and smooth returns. Maybe it disappeared for a little bit, or even you are not so enthusiastic about it, or maybe some other things, because Venus was invisible. And overall, it's if there was some complications in your life, or inability to start new things, or inability to feel fully in your strength, or invisibility, inability to manifest, it improves and it starts moving forward. If there were some complications overall, you'll start, now starts getting better and better. Plus, it means that it's time for new beginnings for you, and that it means that for the next 18 months, there are important Venusian new beginnings in your life. Because as I said, the next time this will happen is probably in 8 or 16 years from now, that Venus will become visible or will be born in your sign. Which means that, especially in the next 18 months, new beginnings of Venusian type means in love, in relationships, in money, in something to do with more self-worth, more beauty in your life, more balance, more pleasure, or new way of doing relationships, or a new relationship, or new important woman coming into your life, whether you're male or female, and new found sense of love, self-love, appreciation, value, balance, beauty. Good things, and more luxurious things in life, more pleasant things. Maybe the start of a marriage for some of you, or long-term relationship. Okay, that's such an important thing for you, Libras, the birth of Venus in your sign. So do right if you're seeing direct, visible, but especially the ascendant is so important. And then Mercury, though, is going retrograde in your third house. Be careful, there might be some miscommunications. Uh, uh, Especially you might, and Neptune is going to square it from the sixth house, so there might be some gossip or something that happens either in the office, or gossip or miscommunications, that like some missed details that were not, clearly heard, or maybe your routines and plans, which is the third house and Mercury and the sixth house, where those influences are happening, that they're disrupted in some way. You have plans and goals. This is how it's going to go. You have to be ready for the next 2 weeks, especially next week, but 3 weeks actually, while Mercury is retrograde, but especially the next week, that things will not go according to expectations. Be careful if you're traveling the third house, that you might not miss certain, the right time. There might be delays, there might be the need to take different routes that you expected, there might be some kind of complications there, that you have to be ready to be more flexible as well. Or you might misplace your tickets or your documents, you might lose something third housey, or misplace it in some sort, which is like communication devices, so watch those out. Especially they might be stolen or harmed by someone, because sixth house is people that can harm you, and Neptune is that, and especially in a more hidden way, that someone. So you be careful for that. Also, while you're driving, Mercury in the third house requires you to be more careful, to pay attention to detail, because you're more easily distracted and you might not see something. Um, and on another level, though, it can indicate that you're working, and that you have to work extra hard, because a retrograde planet is about extra hard, in regards to some project connected to writing, to speaking, to administration, to sales, to marketing, to media, to all those things, the third house things. And retrograde planet requires 3 times more efforts to use more of your skills. So Mercury does really well retrograde in the third house. You just might be putting final touches, or editing, or fixing something in such commercial business project, just increased. You hearing more from clients you haven't heard from before, or you find out some emails that you've lost, or in your spam there might be some confusion with emails, with communication, that you have to work extra hard to sort out. But at the end, you might, for example, create stronger security for the information, or for your soft, or for your uh, Facebook account or whatever. Or if it's and also if you're working in a small group environment, Libra, with collaborators, it can get a bit slowed down. It will require extra meetings and extra discussions before the business deal is closed or before the project is complete, and the change of the direction of some project with a small group of people. But again, this can be a great time till the 7th of September to put final touches, to improve on certain commercial business project, on sales strategies and media strategies, to complete some projects connected to writing, speaking, media, and to, to find your missions and fix them. Just especially when it comes to those other things like traveling and devices, and miscommunications are more likely, or misplacing information, letters, keys, um, you know. And the last thing is that Mars is entering your sixth house. It's going to be there till the end of the year. From Thursday, it's happening Friday, which indicates, Libra, you're going to be very active with work. You might have increased responsibilities and duties, like especially more physical, that in regards to your daily routines. And you have to be careful not to get like some inflammatory health problem, for example, like temperature, or some rash on the skin, something that inflames, or something that is a sudden onset as well, and that's kind of a bit painful or irritable and stressful. So because Mars can flare such conditions, or sudden virus, that can come. But on the same time, Mars here, its ultimate goal when it transits the sixth house, because it likes transiting there, is to strengthen your immunity. So when it does that, ultimately that will increase more cells that can fight with such things. And also it can increase a little bit enmities and fighting with people. Even though now Venus is becoming visible, your suave, smooth part, the charmer, is coming back to life, so you can easily avoid that. But just Mars in the sixth house, usually a person becomes more, how do I say, more irritants are possible around, so to speak, such that more accusatory. But Mars also helps if you're in a situation of a fight with someone, helps you win that fight when it's in the sixth house, because the sixth house, the house of accusations and fighting and litigation of any sort. So Mars gives you the force there a little bit. And it's also good to take active steps in regards to addressing health problems, to do something proactively, especially something physical, that can help you. All right, and to be quite busy at work and with work projects. All right, the next sign is Scorpio. Wow, these videos are turning out much longer than I thought, but this week is very interesting. Scorpio, for you, Venus is becoming visible and direct in the 12th house. So you might not feel it so directly because the 12th house is a private house, but it can indicate a trend that there will be some hidden support that appears for you over the next 18 months. And especially when you can get the first starts of that and the first inklings for that in the next week or two. And it can be even a private relationship of some sort that, especially if you're Scorpio ascendant, to a lesser degree Sun or Moon, but some private relationship that is supporting you, giving you joy behind the scenes in some way, not officially addressed relationship. I'm not saying it's going to be an immoral one, but maybe a new source of adoration can appear in your life that you keep private, or that you're just not addressing to anyone. A new muse and inspiration that you're more private about as well can appear. And it also indicates that bed pleasures, a new source of enjoyable bed pleasures. The 12th house is the bedroom, and 8th house is pleasure. So the ancient said when Venus is in the 12th house, it creates more enjoyable sex life and bed pleasures and private enjoyments. Like it's gonna be a trend, and you're gonna feel it from next week, and it's gonna be a trend for 18 months. That some new, more kind of alone, enjoyable things that you do. You dirty mind, Scorpios. It's not that. It's not that, but it might be that you start enjoying and that you discover new ways of relaxing that are very enjoyable, like some private pleasures in the bedroom. I mean, it can be, you know, reading of a good book. It can be discovering some, starting to do that. You have opportunities to go to more spas, to go to more luxurious hotels, to go to more luxurious holidays far away. 12 houses, hotels, sanctuaries, spas, and Venus is luxury and pleasure. So you have the opportunity already, even from next week, but for the next 18 months as a trend, to do more of those escapism activities that are luxurious, that are pleasant, or even a relationship in private, and to improve your bed pleasures, to improve your sleep as well, to improve your ability to relax through massages, through whether it's through reading spiritual books, or whether it's through this a long time of going traveling to faraway countries, and you have pleasant experiences there. You can even meet love over the next 12 months in a faraway place, or a private relationship, or just 12 hours, either private or far away, as well, or relationship that is with someone who's more either foreigner, or who is uh, artistic person or more private person in some way. But Venus also rules your seventh house, cups. So if there were some complications about relationships generally, this will start improving when Venus starts moving direct, and new opportunities will appear for such. And if there were some complications with contracts, if there were some difficulties with fulfilling those, these will start improving. But some private pleasures and private, that a source of great comfort for you, will appear in your life, and some hidden support for you, and possibly also spending, but on luxurious and pleasant things like holidays, like spas, like, kind of indulging a little bit. All right. And we have, and maybe new love can appear towards some spiritual topic, new love for some alone time for yourself as well, for relaxing. At the same time, Mercury is going retrograde in a second house, and it's squaring Neptune in the fifth. Just be careful that you don't lose something valuable because of Neptune, because your head is in the clouds dreaming, or because you're kind of you go to a bar to have fun, the fifth house, and you lose something there, or the second house is value of those objects. So this is something we can misplace, but on another level, something that you've lost can come back to you over the next 3 months, 3 weeks, sorry, till the 7th of December, because something is returning back. Or maybe you can misplace something somewhere yourself while Mercury is retrograde. So be careful with assets and tangible things. There can be a little bit of destabilizing of finances, or requirement that you put extra efforts into sorting your finances, your assets, your valuables. It can be a good time to do some kind of a spring cleaning of your wardrobe, or to let go, and to re-examine and rearrange your wardrobe, to throw out things that are no longer necessary, to throw out, it's funny, even for a baby it's working, because my son is Scorpio, and then I'm going to be throwing half of his clothes and possessions that are no longer necessary, to clear up the junk, to put more order and organize your valuables, or your money, your investments, your resources, your equipment, all such things, or to rebudget in some sort. Don't take financial risk. Don't start new financial things. Fix others, or if there was some misplacement of money, or if you become aware that money is leaking out somewhere, you will have to readjust it, fix it. And by the end of this process, by the start of December, or after the 7th of December, you can have much more stable finances. If you did your due diligence and made a new plan, you might have some financial surprises or extra expenses, for example, as well. They might be connected to business or travel. They might be connected to anything, or equipment. But those expenses, again, just be prepared for that, and you have to rearrange your finances in some way after that. And you can have a more stable financial situation by the end of this process. So you might be working on restoring something valuable, or because retrograde planet means to take something old and to make it better again. So that's a good manifestation. If you're restoring something of some sort, great time, bringing it back to life, seeing it from a different perspective. Oh, yes, and Mars, I forgot to say, Scorpio is going to become direct in your fifth house till the end of the, not direct, it's going to enter your fifth house till the end of the year. So, more time for fun, for playing, for sports, to be physically active, to you put more energy into pursuing enjoyable activities, into creative activities, into even kind of dating more. You put more energy into all those things, and you'll be energized. The only thing is that you can fight a little bit with children or with lovers, but actually that's more sexual influence than fighting. I don't think it's so much for fighting. If anything, you just feel more energized, more excitable. It's great time for any fun activities that involve water because it's in Pisces, so that involve partying and merging with others. So fun, 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 artistic as well, enjoyments that you're gonna pursue more actively. And then we have Sagittarius. Venus is going to be visible, to become visible, and to become direct, and to be reborn there in your 11th house, which means you're going to feel it for the next 2 weeks very strongly, but it's a trend for the next 18 months that they're going to be new friendships in your life, especially with important women or people that are beneficial for you, that help you in some way. These are called benefactors or friends and acquaintances that can help you fulfill your goals in some way. So they might be more gracious, more luxurious, more attractive friends that you attract, or you can become a member of a group or of a more kind of a suave and attractive group, that a group of like-minded people focused on similar art or similar taste or similar music or similar pleasures that they enjoy. So it can also mean that they can be a rebirth of friendship, or they can be more enjoyable experiences with friends and more social and especially elite and pleasant social experiences for the next 18 months. So that's the rebirth of Venus. It's bringing you this. And plus the 11th house, the house of material gains and profits. And your charmingness will allow you to manifest more material, some kind of um, the birth of new ideas, especially through new contacts and networks and connections that can lead you to fulfilling of some goal and long-term dream of yours. And there is like a help that comes for you there, and there is like the easy attraction of that because Venus is being reborn, and maybe some reward. The 11th house is the house of fruits, results, rewards, and Venus is being reborn there, and you're going to get rewards for something, but only for 11th house gives rewards for something that you've done. It's not like something that you know and you can get recognized for that. So it can be a trend for the next 18 months that you get rewards or gains for something that you've done, a recognition. And also, it can indicate if there was some complication with the fulfillment of a goal and not seeing results. It will start happening now. Those results, you'll start seeing them. They'll become visible. Or if there was some complication with the friendship, it might come around and you can improve that friendship, or you can just move forward with the birth of new friendships. Uh, all right. Then Mercury is going retrograde in your sign, guys. And it's going to be till the 7th of December. And Mercury is also making a square to Neptune in your fourth house. So, what is it? It's going to be a very important period for Sagittarius now, because there'll be an increased flow of information. There'll be an increased, flow of tasks that are mercurial, because retrograde Mercury means 3 times more effort, or 3 times more energy that you have to expend there, and it can give also the results for 3 times better result. It can give the possibility for 3 times better results. And you can, by December the 7th, something that you'll be doing can lead you to really important results in regards to business, things that Mercury rule: business, commerce, sales, marketing, media, advertising, writing, speaking, projects of any sort. But during the retrograde period, you might have to really work extra hard on such. So if you're in business administration, if you're working white collar in an office, all the administrative tasks and Mercury, all the emails, all the negotiations, all the business meetings, all the marketing, all the advertising, the PR. If you run your business or you have a YouTube channel, whatever, this is all Mercury. So something you might have to fix, you to improve, to some mistakes that were omitted, administrative and such, and details and written and spoken, and miscommunications will become very clear. You can find out some secret information. Please don't gossip, Neptune square Mercury. It can come back to bite you. But some kind of uh, some of those things you'll have to work extra hard on. And usually, once Mercury turns direct, you can see much better. You have to change plans, because Mercury retrograde means that in regards to those mercurial things you're doing, whether it's trips, travels, planning, organizing, writing, speaking, messaging, marketing, and all those things, yes, something might go wrong, or something might not go according to expectations. So you need to fix something, to readdress it, to work a bit extra hard. But then the final result usually is much better than before. And also be careful not to misplace and miss certain mercurial objects. For you is especially potent, this communication devices and things like that. And if you're traveling again, you might have to change plans of some sort. But again, at the same time, you become much more. It's a time that Mercury wants to make you more efficient, more organized. But first, something gets confused or misplaced. And this is the thing that triggers you in that direction. But you can be a bit more absent-minded, a bit more confused. So you have to consciously try to put more attention to details over the next week and over the next 3 weeks, to rework on some plans, maybe because you're having your mind on much bigger projects or the future, which is what Sagittarius is. You're having your mind on the bigger picture, that you've missed certain smaller details, and Mercury will try to make you fix this. So there can be frustrations with that, but the final result or project can be, especially of mercurial nature, writing, speaking, blah, 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 can be much better and better, more fruitful and 3 times stronger results. And finally, Mars is moving into a 4th house to the end of the year, where Neptune is as well. So you're going to become much more active with matters concerning your family, matters concerning property. You might be fixing something around your property. You might be very active doing things with your family together. And on a negative level, there might be some fight, or that your family is stressing you if you don't have a mutual project together, if you're not going to go skiing somewhere, or if you're not going to do something together, like move furniture around and fix, or have a lot of activities. It can mean that there's more tension and more restlessness at home with family members as well. All right. And now the next sign is Capricorn. Capricorn, for you, Venus is becoming visible in your 10th house, direct and visible. So if there was any complications with bosses, with authority figures, with institutions, or with your career, if you felt like you were invisible there, or you could not make a stamp or mark in the public area over the next month or some time, if there were some complications with career or projects of some sort, or any such authority figures, these will straighten out. This will start becoming better. Or if you're working on some project that will bring you high visibility behind the scenes and you are not seeing results now, the results will start coming, and the recognition for that can start coming, and you'll see, either the rewards, the acceptance, and possibly you have a chance now to have a new beginning in your career as well. And this trend is not just next week when Venus is becoming visible. Venus is being reborn in your 10th house. This is a trend that maybe will not repeat. This is an astrological event that has an impact for the whole Venus cycle for you. So it's giving you trends for the next 18 months, that they can be a new, positive, easy career in regards to your reputation, social status, public visibility, and career. Maybe a new boss of a Venusian nature will come as well, so like a woman. Or maybe there can be some help to you that comes over the next 18 months, possibly starting from next week, with institutions and authority figures of some sort. Or they can be improved social image again, and popularity, more popularity. Also, it can be some improvements if you have a career connected to new beginnings in regards to career connected to art, fashion, beauty, uh, uh, women, relationships of any sort, diplomacy, design of any sort as well. It can be new beginnings, so new positive developments there that already start from next week. Uh, and on another level, and often, sometimes this can signify a marriage, by the way, guys, because Venus, the 10th house, is your social status. Venus is the planet of love. So change of in a positive way of your social status through relationships, it's not going to happen next week most likely, but it gives the trends, and it kind of is like a omen. Venus is born in your 10th house, so the next 18 months, the ancient astrologers who said you can change your social status through marriage or something Venusian in a positive way, through art, through your beauty, through diplomacy, through some creative project, through music. All right, or through some partnership or contract or agreement. Then Mercury is going retrograde in your 12th house. Oh, you'll be kind of very absent-minded. Mercury is in Sagittarius. It's squaring Neptune in the 9th house. You might find yourself missing details, especially next week. And for 2-3 weeks after that, you might find yourself kind of misplacing things. The 12th house is already like an absent-minded house, that you're misplacing things a lot, that you're losing keys or devices, communication, which is what Mercury is. And 12th house is the house of loss, that you might have some more spendings on such things, so that you might kind of damage or something unusual happens, or something like why did my laptop stop? Like, it's inexplainable. Like 12 houses, loss, damage, or confusion of some sort. Or Mercury is your communications. Overall, your communications might be, or information that you get might not be fully correct, or might be missing certain things. So someone might, the things that they might be more wishful thinking what you hear, or what you kind of in communication. So maybe some gossip that's happening. Be careful not to gossip behind the scenes when Mercury is retrograde in the 12th house, or some gossip can come to your attention of some sort. But on another level, it can just indicate that you're putting the final administrative touches and editing and editing some project behind the scenes, especially some creative project of some sort that requires imagination, but now you need to edit it. Now you need to put more efforts into it. But there is the danger of those other misplacements as well. And yes, so that's what you have to be more careful about, and some miscommunications. And then Mars is going to enter, where is Pisces? Your 3rd house, sorry. Yes, so Mars, where Neptune is going to be in your 3rd house for the next month and a half, so to the end of the year, which means that you'll become much more active with. So you'll start feeling from next week increased communications and information, definitely. But there might be some miscommunications, remember, because of this Mercury retrograde in your 12th house. And you start getting very active. For example, it can lead to more traveling for a month and a half, Mars in the 3rd house. It can lead to more aggressive marketing and sales campaigns of any sort. It can lead to more activity in regards to marketing and writing and speaking. You can become much more prolific writer. There might be like a proliferation and a lot of meetings that you have to go through. 3rd house is business meetings, increase the flow of communication. So you have to put a lot of energy in such matters. Okay. My God. Oh, wow. All right. Let's see the next sign. 2 more signs we have. And of course, one is mine. So Aquarius, Venus is going to be reborn in your 9th house, visible and direct. So if there were some delays in regards to travel, if there were some complications in regards to flights, travels, or something that was not manifesting or not happening, or in regards to some higher education, or in regards to something to do with export import, this will improve. This will basically be resolved now. Any delays or such matters will be, or such kind of Bothersome matters in regards to high-minded questions as well will be resolved. But on a positive level, also it means that you can make, because Venus becoming visible means it's being reborn, and it's a trend for the next 18 months that you're gonna see there. It's being reborn in your ninth house. So you're gonna see a trend that you make a lot of foreign friendships over the next 12, 18 months, starting already from next week. We can make a friendship with an important woman of some sort in an esteemed high position that helps you in some way, who becomes like a teacher or benevolent kind of help in some way. And it can indicate that it starts auspicious relationships, because Venus rules relationships, over the next few months, and 18 months in particular, but especially starting from next month, in regards that are very learned people, that are very erudite, and this is the ninth house, relationships with learned, with more refined people, people from higher levels of society, people with uh, kind of, let's say, with more knowledge, and who become like a guiding light or luck for you of some sort. So such relationship, and it can also indicate more luck in your relationships overall. Also can indicate access to more cultural events, access to more foreign countries, access to foreign travel as a trend over the next 9 to 18 months, access to very positive developments through teaching, access to very positive developments through higher knowledge, maybe finding a guru or female guru or a teacher, or inspirational figure, or if you're in any career that's connected to teaching, that's connected to traveling, to higher knowledge, to giving guidance to people, to giving counsel to people, to academics, you can become more popular. You can kind of they can be the birth of more appreciation for you there, or they can be the birth of more material benefits for you even there, because that's the birth of Venus. um, More pleasures from foreign travel, from cultural experiences for you, Aquarius. And in some cases, ancient Vedic astrology says that the ninth house is the house of marriage or dharmic partner, the one that heaven wants for you. Dharmic means the right one, not karmic, you know, and it can indicate luck that comes to you through relationships. And ninth house rules ceremonies of any sort. So it might be the birth of some important ceremony for you. Um, Religious, that's why it's considered one of the houses of marriage, or the birth of a dharmic relationship. Good luck. um, and also, it can indicate that some good things can come to you from foreign countries, for traveling, from teaching, from higher knowledge, the birth of a new educational course or pre-qualifying course that feels more inspirational. Yes. All right. On another level, Mercury is going to be retrograde in your 11th house. 11th house is the house of achievement of our goals. Well, if there's some goal or project that you've been working on, now it might be the crux time that you have to put extra energy into it, to use your skills, to edit, to fix. A lot of mistakes will come to the surface. Mm, Maybe miscalculations of the financial results of the, because Neptune is in your second house. So the miscalculations for the financial outcome of it, or mistakes, or certain more expenses that are necessary for it. But this is a crux time for you, where you can work on completing some social economic project, some commercial, some project that is connected to uh, achieving your goals, or something that you've worked for a long time, and some kind of a dream of yours that you can complete now. But you need to put a lot of efforts and energy into that, because Mercury retrograde means you're fixing, you're editing, and maybe some project that will be a source of more commercial or more financial profit and gains for you, or even more social recognition, or some project that is connected to reaching large groups of people, that is connected to more popularity, that is connected to more influence for you, because the 11th house rules all of those things. Large groups of people of some sort. So you might have to plan and replan. You have to be more specific with details, because you might realize that you've omitted some information. So if you're planning big events, that can be a crux time for the next 3 weeks, that you're working very hard on them, that is more stressful on you. Also, events connected with friends and large groups of people, again, it might be time to organize such things and to edit, re-edit, or some project from before that you've had. Socioeconomic can come back for you to fix it, to improve it, to remove the mistakes, to clarify it, to systemize it, to organize it better. And maybe some friends from the past can get in touch with you as well. And there might be some things, some important things to be said with you and friends from the past. It might be, if Mercury is making good aspects to your planets from there, it might be great reunion with a friend from the past, and a great retake and starting, and maybe some goal that you worked on before and you've left, you can come back to it to finish it, you know. Or on some cases, if Mercury is making difficult aspects from your 11th house, it can indicate that for the next 3 weeks you might be um, addressing some more painful topics verbally about a friendship, or and such things. All right, and then Mars is also going into your second house to the end of the year. You'll be much more proactively seeking uh, material, financial benefits. Also, you might be spending more money. Mars in the second house is known for that. Oh, the Christmas month. And you can be spending more as well on certain pleasures and valuables, but we tend to be more spontaneous and more risk taking with our money when Mars is there. So I usually advise, don't buy big things unless it's something that's necessary, and um, try to have a little bit more self-restraint with finances, even though Mars wants you to spend more. But you can also put that energy into pursuing more financially beneficial, um, how do I say, sources. And finally, Pisces. Wow, there we go. That was a long one. Pisces, for you, Venus is becoming direct and visible and direct in your eighth house. If there was some complications with finances, this will start improving from next week. The eighth house is a financial house. If there are some complications or delays or problems with an inheritance, they'll start improving. Or complications or delays with an insurance of some sort. You are waiting for it and they're not paying it. Now Venus becoming visible can manifest it and resolve it. Or some complication or delay with money that you're expecting from a partner, whether it's a client or a business partner, on alimony or a payout for something, money that's not dependent on you but comes from another. Well, now it's gonna start happening. We'll start moving in a positive direction. We'll see the results. If you're also expecting like some reward from an investment, or some, if some investment of yours was destabilized, where you put investment with other people's resources or in a mutual project with another person business, and if it was not giving good results, well, or if you had to work extra hard on some mutual project over the last 40 days, well, now you'll start seeing the results of that financially, materially, of your these pooled resources, of these investments, of these mutual finances of some sort. Also, taxes. The eighth house is connected to taxes. So, if there was some delay of sorting out some matters of taxes or some complications, now you start moving ahead, you start manifesting, you start making things happen. Also, hidden money. In some way, you can get the support from another person, or maybe, and it's also a trend for the next 18 months. As I said, Venus is being born in your eighth house. The next time it will happen, it's in about 8 years or even 16 years from now. So it's giving a trend for the whole Venus cycle of 18 months that Venus is born in your eighth house. And you might start seeing the trends from next week that some new source of income is coming for you from another person, with another partner, with another who is, like a mutual, maybe your partner over the next 18 months can contribute more to the income financially, or can have a better source of income of some sort. Or maybe it can indicate that it might be some inheritance that you receive over the next 18 months, or that you can ask for help and receive more from another, or even that, You can go dig. But now some or some source of hidden money can appear for you, or a kind of like a parallel, or another source of income that appears financially for you. um, so yeah, this is the birth of Venus in the eighth house. It is interesting, and it can also indicate the birth of a more secret relationship or more private relationship that's very intense and intimate. And it might even start from next week, but it can be over the next 18 months. It can be just like an omen that the birth of a relationship, Venus, that is more private and secret, the eighth house, or the birth and the rebirth of intimacy in your life. If intimacy, especially in the last month or two, has been non happening with Venus retrograde and invisible in your eighth house, it can indicate that intimacy is being born sometime in the next 18 months for you on a very sensual level as well. Uh, okay. On another level is Mercury is going retrograde in your 10th house, guys. And it's going to make a square to Neptune in the 7th. So Mercury in the 10th house can indicate that there is some complication that starts happening in regards to a career situation that requires a lot of your energy to put in, that requires a lot of attention to detail. Usually, like workload can increase, especially workload of business administrative tasks, such ones that require a lot of emails, meetings, conversations, communications. But you have a chance by the middle of December to improve your social status based on the amount of detail and work that you put for the next 3 weeks from now. Because there can be some complicated situation at work that you have to work on, some negotiations, some agreements that you have to do, or some project that you have to work extra hard on. But at the end of this, you can have, and you might be like you have certain plan for your project or for the career and work matters, and it's not really coming exactly like you expected. You have to rework it to change something, so be prepared for that, but the results can be 3 times more enduring and positive from December onwards. It can be a very busy time for business people, for managers, for administrators of any sort, for bureaucrats, people that work with documents, with papers, with writing, with speaking. And again, their actions will be very visible though, and their actions will be very impactful to large groups of people. uh, or it can be someone who is working on an old project that they're work project that they're retouching and editing and fixing some problems there and looking for better ways to do it. It can mean that there's some important conversations that happen between you and an authority figure or an institution, and maybe some developments. If you have some engagement with institutions or authority figures, it can become more drawn out, and it can require more patience of some sort and more skill in handling that approach. uh, but eventually, of course, it can give better results and can be sorted out by the time Mercury turns direct. It can also mean that you're completing some project, as I said, or putting final touches to it in regards to this 10th house. And last but not least, next week, from Thursday, Friday, Mars is entering your house, Pisces. You're going to get much more energetic, and that's till the end of the year. So the last stretch of the year is when actually you start a lot of new beginnings, when you get much more active, when you become more courageous, when you take risks, when you are more initiative than other times. And actually, you might even get frustrated with certain things if you don't have a goal towards which to put this energy. You can be more prone to small accidents and getting easily triggered and more reactive. But Mars just wants to increase, so do some physical sport. It's great time to start some physical exercise. In the next month and a half, you'll have more energy, you'll be more trigger happy though. You'll fly off a bit more easily and easily provoked, but at the same time, fantastic time to start new beginnings, to be active, to be go, 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 go. If you didn't have energy till now, because Mars was retrograde, 12th house, quite some time. So maybe a lot of your energy just kind of felt like it was dispersed, or making you restless in sleep, or now it's like time to manifest, time to uh, show more willpower. You're gonna get this willpower and tackle problems and people that are in anything to do with competition, with fighting, anything to do with physical sports, anything to do with machines, with metals, with fire, any work with policing, they can have a much more active, busy month. I just had Mars transiting my sign, and I was a powerhouse, full of, I still have it a bit, still full of energy, a lot of things I managed to get done. So the same is going to happen for you guys, even though you might be more irritable than other times. Wow, finally. Thank you so much, guys. That's the week ahead. And not only the week ahead, but these are trends for the next 18 months. So, where is Venus? What is Venus going to give birth to in your life for the next 18 months? Come back to this video many months ahead later, because you're going to see those trends happening. Thank you so much. Don't forget, my 2019 calendar is a 30% off till the 25th or something like that of November. You can order it now, and you're going to have it within a week. I think it will be ready within a week or something like that. And after that, it becomes $30. Or my webinar, my 2019 videos are still $3.99. And after that, there will be $9.99 per video, but with uh, 60 pages of written text as well. So, but if you want just the video, $3.99 till the 19 till another week or two. So don't miss this opportunity, and I'll see you soon, guys.